Hi, this is Dr. Melanie Richardson, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about wrist health, thumb health, elbow health. In our technology-rich world, in our fast-paced world, we tend to grip things with our hands or bring our thumbs inward in tight, small postures, texting, driving, and you may develop pain in this part of your thumb. You may get it further down in the wrist here. You could also end up with it extending all the way down into your arm or even arm here. So let's talk about how to release this a little bit. Good way to start is to get the triceps ready, and then we'll get the deltoids ready, and then we'll start on the lower arm. Because really your hand is from here to here. There's a chain of muscles and tendons that allow these actions of fine movement, and unless everything along the chain is relaxed, you may end up with tension because this is the furthest away, which then causes the joints to become tight, immobile, and eventually develop arthritis. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and start with a nice tricep stretch, and you're just simply going to lift your arm over your head, you're going to grab your elbow, and you're going to pull it back. And the further back you can pull it without straining and without having to push your neck forward, the more stretch you're getting. But stay within your range of motion. If it's here, that's still doing you good. Give yourself a nice count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's switch arms. Pull it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you might have noticed that while I was doing it, I dropped my shoulder down. I started to feel it in my neck a little bit, and it reminded me that I was bringing my shoulders up, so we want to drop it down. So good stretch, shoulders down, some space for your ears in there. Bring it down. Let's do the deltoid now. So let's kind of cap a muscle here. This one's pretty simple, as long as you keep your arm dropped. If you come up, you're not getting the right thing. So bring it here, and just slide it across the front of you. We'll just do a quick little count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a good stretch. Let's do the same thing. You notice I'm kind of catching it and pulling it down. So drop that shoulder, drop that arm, and then pull. And you may feel it go all the way back to your shoulder blade. That's because the deltoid has something to do with that shoulder. So go ahead and stretch it out and relax. Now we've got to get into our biceps because our shoulder tends to have a problem. If our arms are just kind of like T-Rex arms, we're always tight. We never bring our arms out. If you sit at a computer all day long, you probably have some shortened biceps. So you're going to make kind of a crane's beak. That's what we call it in martial arts. And we're going to stretch it out. You're just going to pull your shoulder or your arm behind your shoulder. There you go. Nice, good, tight pull. Same range of time, just kind of 5. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to do it on the other side. So I'm going to make the crane's beak, pull it back. And then I'm just straight. Don't bring it up here and don't try to get it so far back here. If you can't keep it in a line, you're probably compensating because that muscle we're trying to stretch is just way too tight. So once we're done with that, we can go on to our forearms. Now our forearms, these muscles here and these muscles here, they control our hands. And so they're the ones that we're really interested in. So if you have pain in your hands or even in your wrist, if you just take your thumb and kind of dig around in this area, you'll probably find some really tender areas. And if you do, with a moderate pressure, you put it in there, and then you rotate your arm back and forth, and that works out what's called a trigger point. And you can just dig around all of those. Be cautious if you bruise easily. There's no reason to cause yourself more harm. That's not fixing the problem completely. So we can start with some simple stretches. Bring your hands down. And you might not find a lot. It's not about how far you can bring this down. My wrists are actually pretty mobile. But you're going to pull away from you. And you'll start to feel some stretches that come from the thumb and the wrist up the arm. We're just going to do 5 of these. And then we're going to switch. I'm going to do 5 of these. You notice I'm not bringing my arms out. I'm trying to keep my arms by the side of my body. This allows me to isolate the right muscle. Then I can open up my palm, put my hand on it, and then I can move away from me. This will really depend on your range of motion. So it may look more like this for you. It may look more like this for you. That's fine. If you're feeling stretches in here, you're on the right path. If you're feeling it really tightly where the muscles attach at elbow or wrist, you're probably being too vigorous. So back off a little bit. The sweet spot's in the belly of the muscle. Maybe a little bit of a stretch feeling at the joint areas, but never a strain or a sharpness. So I'm going to do 5 of these. right? And if you've ever done martial arts, there are a lot that do wrist stretches in the beginning. Give yourself a little bit of mobility. Now, the next one I'm going to show you, it's a little hard sometimes to show people how to do it. The critical thing is you need to have your wrists bent. So I'm going to move the camera so you can see this. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fingers facing me, and I'm going to bring my palms down. But I have to bend my wrists for this to work as a stretch. If I have straight and then I lean forward, it's not going to do much. And if I lean back, I'll get a little. But if I'm bent and I lean in, I will begin to feel the stretch through these areas of the muscle. So coming in here, and then you can do it if you tend to have really shortened forearms. You can put the backs of your palms, once again, bend those elbows, and then lean in to get your stretch. And then you can lean back to get your stretch. But don't do it with straight arms. That's too much strain. If you've ever done Qigong or anything like that, I'm sure your teacher always told you, keep those joints round, right? Gotta keep it up. So then the last set of things we want to look at is if you have a tendency towards thumbs to fold inward. Let's show you there. If you tend to come here, you're losing the range of motion in here. This begins to shorten, and the tissues start to adhere a little bit. So we gotta open this back up. So palm facing you, you can just gently put your other hand on the thumb and apply pressure away. Once again, feel the stretch and don't do it at awkward angles. Try to keep that wrist straight while you do it. And I want it to be flat on this plane. There we go. And let's switch to the other side. Aligning, making sure my wrist is flat. Where's my plane of motion? And then just pulling it away. You can also have palm face you. And you can pull the thumb away from you this way. This way. Okay. The other thing that you can do, and this can be really good, is to control it. If you have a lot of arthritis, surgery, previous injury through here, put your thumb in that little hollow that occurs. Right here we call it the snuff box. You stuff that thumb in there so that you can stretch that thumb, fingers open, arm up, and then just pull your thumb down, and you'll get the tissues opening back up through this thumb. And then you can pull it behind a little bit. You can pull it forward a little bit. If you have reduced range of motion, here may be all you have. That's okay. Keep working towards the ideal of getting the palm from this position back to a nice full open position. You will notice that I had the fingers open the whole time while I'm doing this. It's because I'm trying to give the most expansion to all these tissues so that I'm getting a good fascia stretch as well as a muscle stretch. So this is the uncontrolled version. Controlled version goes in at the base of the thumb so I can make sure I'm not going too much. If you do have established arthritis, this isn't just for prevention, put your thumb in here, pull the thumb away a little bit, then begin to stretch. That way you make sufficient space in the joint that you're not just grinding on those little osteophytes, those little pieces of calcium in there. Okay? And once again, go ahead and follow up one more time with the forward stretches, and this time just kind of rotate between them to make sure you've gotten it open sufficiently. And that's all for our thumb, muscle, wrist, and elbow stretches. Thank you.